Welcome to More Than a Few Words, a marketing conversation for business owners. This is your host, Lorraine Ball. And today we're going to dive into another great conversation about what went wrong. And to have that conversation with me today is my friend Jen Edds, whose name I can't pronounce. And what you should know about Jen, beside the fact is that she makes me laugh all the time, is that she is the head broad in charge at the Brassy Broadcasting Company. And today she's going to tell me about a great idea that didn't quite go the way she thought. Jen, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I am thrilled to be spending a few minutes with you today.
Oh, I always love when we hang out.
Me too.
But tell me, what was your great idea?
I had this brilliant idea at the end of December that I was going to launch a 30-day podcast where I was going to publish every day. They were going to be 10 minutes or less, and it was going to be awesome. And I was going to do video and audio, and it was going to be on my YouTube channel and podcast and be everywhere. And then I came to my senses.
Okay, I have to ask you, before you started releasing the episodes or after?
Before, like a few days before.
Okay. So what made you come to your senses? Why was that a dumb idea?
I sat down and started going through the questions that I actually run through with my clients. Because, just because we do them with clients doesn't mean we use them ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, wait, this is not the show. Number one, it's not the show that I can't talk about creating a sustainable podcast for your schedule when after really looking at it, I was like, this is not sustainable for me. So I need to lead by example. And then when I was thinking about the why that I wanted to do this podcast, because initially it was going to be, how to podcast on the cheap, just using your phone so you can create content. And then I thought, wait, this is not from my people. These people are never going to hire me. So why would I invest all of this time and effort to make this podcast for someone that's never going to hire me?
Okay, that's really an important question, and I think that's something that people fall into that trap all the time. I know this, I'm just going to share this, and then you're like, but the people that are consuming it are not my customers.
Right.
And yeah, no, okay, it doesn't fit in my sales funnel. Okay, so you realize that you were making content for the wrong audience.
Mm-hmm.
And so you started shifting your audience, but still, your audience might like a daily podcast.
They might, but I would not like making it for them. And I think that would come through. Number one, I can't preach consistency to my clients, and then I'm not showing up consistently.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not showing up at my best. If that made me feel like I was going to have to probably phone it in on some days. And you can see right through that or hear right through that.
Oh, absolutely. I had a really long recording day the other day. I recorded 5 podcast interviews. And by the 5th one, I had to go outside and go for a walk. And I will tell you that I just had to get away because otherwise I would. And I knew I'd be phoning it in, and ain't nobody wants to see that.
No.
Okay. So you had this great idea. It was going to overcommit you to creating way too much content for the wrong audience. So yeah, that's a great idea. So yeah, I mean, when you break it down like that, so now you've figured out who you really want to be creating content for. What did you ultimately decide you needed to create for them?
I wanted to create kind of like almost like a resource bank for my existing clients or maybe potential clients, and really get back to the basic fundamental things of podcasting. One of the things that I think kind of distracted me was, I want more traffic on YouTube and that whole, well, let's create for the algorithm. And I was like, I can't do that. Like, I want to create for my people, the people that want to show up and really make the best podcast that they can possibly make. They want to be consistent. They want to really serve their ideal clients or their listeners. And that's the show I need to make. And that's the people I need to make it for.
That is such an important point because the algorithm is a trap.
Mm-hmm.
And I am as guilty of anybody as looking at, what do you mean I only had 50 downloads yesterday? What do you mean
Yeah.
I only had 30 views? I got to create another video. I have to release something else. What am I going to put out there that's no.
Yeah.
Go back and look at who are the 30 people who watched it,
Yeah.
listened to it, commented. What was it that you said that piqued their curiosity?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now we are halfway through the month that was going to be filled with 30 days of content. How many days have you actually created?
I am recording my fifth episode this
Mhm.
week, tomorrow, maybe
Okay.
Friday. So I have consistently, ever since I launched and said I'm going to hit once a week, that's what I've done. And it's given me time then to actually, create the clips and promote the episode rather than just bang, 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 bang. Take a little time and actually then I've created it. How about if I actually market it and share it with people?
You mean letting your ideal clients know that you're doing that? What a great
Yeah.
idea.
What if I actually sent an email to my list and
Mm,
told them about it and shared the episode?
yeah, you know, that's the piece that people forget how long it takes. It's not whether it is a podcast interview, an informational video, or a blog post, creating that first piece of content is the easy part.
Right?
Mm.
Yes.
So, when you get through this series, and you'll have all the different topics covered. It may take you several months, and then you're going to re release all of it because there'll be so many people who hadn't seen it.
Right. Yeah, the plan is to go for a year, just publish consistently for a year every week. And it's
Okay.
already mostly mapped out, at least the first quarter.
Mhm.
Like all the topics are done, and then the first quarter every week is filled in.
The other nice thing about that schedule, and that was one of the things I think I learned when I first committed to a daily podcast for a very brief period of time, was you don't always have to tell people that you're going to do it forever or
Right.
that it's going to be 30 days. Hey, I'm doing an experiment. And so the truth is, if you get to the end of the quarter and you're like, before I create any more, I'm going to re release, you haven't locked yourself in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what's next? Well, you got a year working on this, so there won't be a lot next. But what what's on your when I finish this, I want to maybe think about list?
I want to do a good, solid evaluation of it because
Mhm.
one of the things that I fall into create, 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 put it out there, but then I don't necessarily go back and really dive into the analytics
Mhm.
and I have committed to doing a much better job of that this time and looking at those retention rates. Am I
Mhm.
holding attention through the first 30 seconds? Nope. Okay. I better go back and work on those hooks then. And I think just incrementally trying to improve that throughout the coming year is going to be a great challenge. And then see what I learn through. I can't tell you what it's going to be because it's going to depend, I think, a lot on what I learn and what comes up just from committing to this practice of producing an episode every week.
Awesome. I Jen, I love that. I am going to go back and look through your feed and find all of those episodes because I always learn so much when I hang out with you.
Thank you. Same, right back at you.
If you've enjoyed this conversation and you want to know more about what Jen is doing, be sure to hop over to LinkedIn. Be sure to look for Jen Edds and the Brassy Broadcasting Company for more great tips on how you can take your podcast further today, tomorrow, and into the future. Jen, thanks for being a part of the show and thanks for sharing your what went wrong.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Loved it. And if you'd like to find other conversations just like this, be sure to hop over to More Than a Few Words. There you'll find our archive along with work papers, white papers, and so much more. This has been another episode of More Than a Few Words. Thanks for listening.